X2 or X-Men 2, or actually no, there's only two things people call it. But yeah, it's a sequel to X-Men, and it's indicative of this whole like pattern of these kinds of movies where, it's a good first movie and then like a really really good second movie and then like a terrible third movie. The intro sequence is really cool. And you could tell a lot about a movie by looking at the intro sequence. Like you could tell the kind of people who made it, and what fields they specialize in and how much attention to detail they have and how well everyone in different departments are working together. I have really vague memories of watching this movie when I was little, but I don't remember the blood bending shit that Magneto did when he was in prison. And once again, we're back to the whole like, the word mutant has like a stigma around it. Like, if your son comes out as mutants, then you're disappointed, right? I guess it's an allegory of like coming out as gay, but that's really not the same thing at all. I get how they're trying to be like, oh, you should celebrate if your son comes out as gay, but it's like, bro, if my son came out as gay, that means like you think about that, what that means. I'd have to grapple with the fact that like, well, that's probably the end of my bloodline. But if my son came out and told me he can fucking teleport, I'd be like, yo, why didn't you tell me sooner? That's fantastic. It's literally not the same thing at all. Like, it's not even close. They're not even in the same realm. There's no allegory to be made there. But they give it an attempt. It's better than the first movie, at least. But yeah, that scene where like the dude comes out to his parents is like literally one of the stupidest scenes I've ever seen in my entire life. In fact, that scene just by itself drags the movie down, I'd say 4 points. I remember like a couple cool scenes of Wolverine when I was little, and I also remember thinking that Storm was hot, but at the same time, I was 3 when the movie came out. So the stuff about Storm being hot, I'm probably just making that shit up. Now there's this like, I don't know if it was because executives wanted to be involved, or maybe they wanted to give the audience like a big bad guy to hate, so that there's like a final scene or like a ending, like satisfying ending to overcome, like, okay, we're gonna overcome this giant obstacle, whatever. Or if the writers just weren't that competent to begin with. But there's parts of the movie that are like really intelligent and subtle, like there's good and bad in everyone everywhere. And then there's other scenes where it's like blatantly obvious, like, oh, here is the bad guy, his name is Mr. Evil and he likes to do bad things. Why? Because he's bad, that's why. It's like, how do you flip-flop this much from being like intelligent and brain dead? It's actually confusing. But if you're able to like get past the fact that like, half the scenes in the movie are like have no purpose at all and just seem like some, executives wanted to write them in to like sell toys or whatever, you realize like the rest of the scenes somewhere in there is like a phenomenal movie. I'm sure if like in the editing room they managed to whip something up, like a new director's cut or something like that, they could probably whip up like a real like incredible movie, because all the other scenes are like really, they're purposeful. Everything is so purposeful, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like this movie really found its identity with this one. It really figured out like, okay, this is what, these are our strong suits, these are our weaknesses, this is what we can and cannot do. They kind of more or less figured out that whole thing. But, it's held back by like the first movie had like some good scenes and some bad scenes, right? But the second movie has like some great scenes and some terrible scenes. But it really is like just about the same. And just like the first movie, I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10.
It's Filthy Frank, motherfucker. It's Filthy Frank, bitch. Let's get some pussy tonight.
My ass would have stayed in the primordial soup if I knew there was gonna be days like this.
What in the hell are you doing to my lieutenant?
What are you saying? Are you accusing me of something? How long are you prepared to keep...
Squidward's such a jerk.